Welcome to Eternia Fan Theories. In this series, we'll take a look at some of the theories from the fans of He-Man and She-Ra. Now, since He-Man and She-Ra have a long history in comics, cartoons, and more, the theories may sound plausible or totally bonkers. My name is Rob McCallum, and this video's topic is... Number 1. This is a fun theory and goes back a couple decades at the early beginnings of the fandom online. In the vintage toy line, Mattel was planning a spin-off line, the Powers of Grayskull, set in ancient Eternian times, aka Preternia, with dinosaurs and some giants, characters like Hero and Eldor. A couple of the toys did get made.
He-Man in a time warp.
Where am I?
Ancient pre-Eternia, lost land of the dinosaurs. Thunderous Tyrannosaurus Rex battles mighty Bionatops, ferocious dinosaurs.
Take this, He-Man.
How can He-Man survive?
I have the power.
New from the Masters of the Universe, figures Bionatops, Tyrannosaurus Rex, and Turbodactyl each so separately. Can He-Man escape the past and them?
But others remained as pictures on a Mattel catalog. From the toys we got during the 80s, there were at least two giants. Titus fighting on the hero side, and Megator for the villain side. On the box art painted by the late, great William George, we see Megator rampaging and kicking down an unspecified fortress, with Hero ready to face him. In the background, we see on the left a woman with a child as they gaze in horror of the destruction. Then on the right side, there is an unnamed archer girl running. She's not featured on any other box art or mini comics to get a better look at her, or to learn who she might be, unfortunately. But, as we mentioned in a previous video about Scareglow, fans were lucky to have scans from the Mattel license guide available in the early 2000s that had official info on the characters, and sometimes their histories. In the case of the protagonist Hero, we learned that his actual name was Gray. Side note, according to the original Mattel notes, his name was Grayskull. He is the ancestor to He-Man and She-Ra, and that he was mentored by Eldor and a woman called Sharella, who was a tribal chiefstess. And while there is no page in the license guide depicting Sharella, there is a fan theory which has permeated in the fandom that the Archer girl seen on the Megator box art could be her. A major proponent for this theory was Emiliano Santa Lucia, though it's not certain if he may have originated it as well. In any case, other fans liked the idea a lot, sparking plenty of discussions over the following years. It is very understandable, as the Titus box art has name-checked characters. And on Megator's box, out of the background characters, the Archer Lady is visually most interesting. Then much later, when the Classics line was released, they didn't want to make figures based on early concept art to honor the legacy or variations like Sorceress in the first mini-comics. But instead, they made the toy figures and assigned them entirely new roles and names respectively, often confusing fans. Let's take an example like the Sorceress, where they made her visually according to the first appearance and named her the Goddess from different comics, and then added a made-up real name, Sharella. The Classics mini-comics did use the Archer Girl appearance in issue 8 as an homage to this fan theory. Mr. Santa Lucia would get a chance to depict the Archer Girl though. In poster artwork for Mad Duck Posters, you can see her next to the characters of Hero, Eldor, and Keldor. It turned out really well. Number 2. Jumping to the 2002 cartoon series, many of the characters designed by the Four Horsemen kept it fairly true to the vintage appearances. In the case of the Sorceress, her new appearance and design was something that the fans needed to adjust to just a little bit. There seems to be some Egyptian-inspired style going on with intricate details on her costume. Then there's the makeup, or rather, the eyeliner, with decorative lines curving on both sides of her cheeks. This second fan theory I discovered thanks to a couple German fans is, what if these lines might represent the tears of her ancient predecessor, the very first sorceress, Vina, after her husband King Grayskull was killed in a fight against Hordak in the Season 2 episode, The Power of Grayskull. And it's another cool fan theory, especially since we haven't seen the countless sorceresses who guarded the castle between Vina and our modern day sorceress. These markings on her eyes could very well be something every sorceress might have had as part of their looks, even if the overall motif would change from guardian to guardian, inevitably all symbolizing the loss that the very first sorceress experienced. Now that's a comic one-shot I'd like to read. Hint, hint to Rob David and Tim Seeley and whoever else might be out there. I know you're listening. Number 3. Keeping with the 2002 cartoon, our third fan theory on the list has to deal with the Season 1 episode, Lessons, written by the late, great Larry DiTillio. It is quite possibly one of the best episodes in the series as far as I'm concerned, for it introduces a new character to the mythos, has throwbacks to Filmation, deepens the lore for an existing character, shows unexpected twists for He-Man to deal with, and he squares off against Skeletor at the drawbridge of Castle Grayskull. It's also an Orko-centric episode where we learn about the time when Orko arrived on Eternia, and another instance showcasing Orko using his magic that turns a young Prince Adam into a flower, much to the shock and delight of the King and Queen. Now, as viewers, you might ask, what's so significant about that scene to show as a flashback? To which a mysterious library keeper inside Grayskull responds, "Well, you gave the King and Queen the gift of laughter when they needed it most." And that line stuck with some fans from the episode. That mysterious character in Grayskull turned out to be, in fact, the Sorceress in disguise, but Orko doesn't know that, so don't tell him, shh. Fans kept coming back to the line about the King and Queen receiving the gift of laughter when they needed it the most. Why were they so sad in the first place, though? It's not addressed in the episode or the rest of the series. And this was during the time when the Mystic Wall was standing, so Keldor's forces were not the issue. Then, in the Season 1 episode Separation, the existence of Hordak is confirmed in the reboot, and that led fans to thinking, well, with the writer having already worked on the original animated series by Filmation, what if this sadness had something to do with Adora, Adam's twin sister, in said original series, who got kidnapped as a baby from Eternia by Hordak and taken to Etheria. There she grew up under the influence of Hordak and Shadow Weaver, believing that the Horde were kind and just rulers of the planet. The only people who remembered her in the Filmation series were the King and Queen, the Sorceress, and Man-at-Arms. So applying that logic, Randor and Marlena certainly would still remember her. Number 4. In the vintage mini-comic Enter Buzzsaw Hordak, we are introduced to Pixel Dan's favorite character, Mosquitor, as Hordak plans to use this new evil Horde member against He-Man. But as Hordak looks into Eternia through his mirror thingy, he is shocked to learn that the central tower of Eternia has been risen once again. In a shocking twist, it's revealed to the reader that he actually helped build it long ago before his banishment. Hordak quickly alters his plans, as he puts it. Inside the central tower walls is knowledge enough to end the power of Grayskull forever. And that, without Grayskull's power, He-Man is nothing. The theory from a forum user, Matthew L. Martin, is, what if Hordak is not referring to Grayskull the castle, but instead Grayskull the man? And as mentioned earlier in this video, Hero was going to be called Grayskull. And he is He-Man's ancestor, which in itself Hordak may not know, but given his knowledge about the central tower, such as only the rightful king of Eternia can enter it, he might deduce that there is a connection between Grayskull/Hero's power and He-Man. Since it takes a long time to produce a comic from the writing phase until it's finally finished, maybe Hero was still being referred to as Grayskull internally at Mattel. The character is from that time period of pre-Eternia, and in the mini-comic, Hordak even states that he was looking for secrets of time travel inside the central tower to go back in time, so maybe he was referring to Grayskull/Hero, the person. Number 5.
Tri-Klops, master of vision.
Tri-Klops is one of the more memorable characters. He has a fun toy gimmick, and the mini-comic that introduced him made him a very particularly badass warrior. The 3 eyes on his rotating visor helmet make him almost impossible to sneak up on, as he can see in all directions at once, and all eyes respectively have different capabilities. Such as Gamma Vision that helps him see through solid objects, as well as Distavision so he can spy on He-Man and other heroes from afar, and whatever this was. In his mini-comic, The Terror of Tri-Klops, we learn about our Master of Vision for the first time when Beastman recommends Tri-Klops to Skeletor as someone who can get rid of He-Man for him. Skeletor recruits Tri-Klops, the Hunter, to destroy He-Man, and after being dispatched, soon makes short work out of He-Man's allies from Battlecat, Ram-Man to Teela. With He-Man the only one left, they duke it out until He-Man delivers the finishing punch. Though Skeletor is not pleased with Tri-Klops losing and shoots a destructive blast at the warrior, only to be blocked by He-Man's shield. The story ends with Tri-Klops mysteriously gone and Skeletor vowing to get He-Man some other day. Now, Tri-Klops would show up after a couple mini-comics as working under Skeletor, and in the cartoon he was one of the 5 original henchmen that Skeletor had. But in the mini-comic, Tri-Klops was shown to have a strong moral code, where he didn't kill any of He-Man's friends as he was only recruited to get rid of He-Man. Plus, when Skeletor says he wants to hire Tri-Klops, he is none too pleased until hearing that he would go up against He-Man, which Tri-Klops sees as a worthy opponent and as a means to claim some bragging rights. And when he was fighting against a group of demons when Skeletor pulled him aside, the ending also implied that Tri-Klops escaped or got sent back from wherever Skeletor pulled him away. Skeletor did not grab Tri-Klops with him like it happened in Trapjaw's case. So by all accounts, Tri-Klops came across as this mysterious independent hunter with a clear moral code who didn't end up in Skeletor's ranks if we were to look at his mini-comic on its own. This led fans over the years to come up with the theory that maybe Tri-Klops was a good guy, or at least originally meant to be a good guy. Also, upon further inspection, the toy release waves looked to be designed to have equal amounts of good guys and bad guys. Wave 1 had He-Man, Man-at-Arms, Stratos, and Teela, in contrast to Skeletor, Beastman, Merman, and Zodak. 4-to-4 ratio. And if we skip to Wave 3, there we have Battle Armor He-Man, Mechanic, Prince Adam, Buzz-Off, Fisto, and Orko for the Heroic Warriors, and Battle Armor Skeletor, Jitsu, Whiplash, Clawful, Webster, and Cobra Khan for Evil Warriors. So that would be a 6-to-6 ratio. But Wave 2, where Tri-Klops was released, it doesn't seem to add up. You have the good guys, Ram Man, and Many-Faces. Okay, fine, but there's like 4 villains: Evelyn, Faker, Trapjaw, and Tri-Klops. So what chances do Rammy and Manny over here have against these guys? So if we move Tri-Klops to the heroic section, now it looks a little more balanced with a 3-to-3 ratio. This is even more supported if you stop to look at the villain lineup on its own. In a group of yellow-skinned witches, blue monstrosities, and robots, Tri-Klops is the only one who clearly is a regular human being. Even Roger Sweet, who is credited as conceptualizing Tri-Klops, according to Ted Mayer, mentions in his book, Mastering the Universe, that Tri-Klops was a good guy. Though since the book is known to have a few errors in it from Roger's recollections, fans have learned to take it with a grain of salt. It could be true, maybe not. But whatever the case, it all makes for a fantastic fan theory. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let us know in the comments if you have any fan theories about Masters of the Universe or Princess of Power. We want to hear them.
Thank you for watching Eternia Fact Files, a source of history and origins for Masters of the Universe and Princess of Power. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss out on future updates, leave a comment what you thought about this video or what topics you'd like to see featured, and share this video as it would help my channel grow. My name is Jukka and I wish you good journey.